Oh, hey, good morning, good afternoon, everybody, depending on which part of this beautiful country that you're in. I'm your host, Sheila Gunn Reid. I'm the editor-in-chief at Rebel News Network, and you're watching the Rebel Roundup. It's our weekly look back at the news in the week that it was, and boy, we had some excitement the last 72 hours here at Rebel News. The establishment class and the activist class seems to hate us, but the normal people, as always, they're with us. We'll get into that in a second, but let me tell you what we're doing here. I told you we're looking back at the news in the week that was, but we do something a little bit different here at Rebel News that you won't see all that much in the mainstream media because they want your money. They just don't really care what you think. We're the opposite. We do care what you think because without you, there is no Rebel News. So Rebel Roundup is really your show. I have a selection of topics that I want to talk about that I think that you care about, and we sort of pick our topics based on the buzz around them on social media sometimes, or how proud we are of the work that we're doing. But this is an opportunity for you to have your say. So if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for sticking out on the censorship platform of YouTube. There are 1.6 million sets of eyeballs over there, or is that the CBC's billions in in government subsidies for content that they don't create or that you don't consume? But there's over 1 million of you over there, and we don't want to abandon you, but just realize that you will not get, not just with us, but with everybody, the full story, because to be on YouTube, there are certain things that you can't talk about over there. So if you are a subscriber and you're watching us over there, thank you so much. But if you want stories, maybe that, well, not maybe, definitely that you can't see on YouTube, be a subscriber to Rumble, or you can watch us on Odyssey. Those are both two free speech platforms. Don't really care what you think. And they allow you to support the work that we do completely willingly, unlike what Justin Trudeau makes you do with the mainstream media. And you can do that by way of hyper chat on Odyssey or a Rumble rant on Rumble. If your Rumble rant is greater than the $5 US cutoff, I'm hereby obligating myself to read it on air, likewise with Odyssey. But don't let that be the bar for participation, because frequently, more often than not, actually, if we have time, we read the rants that are smaller than the $5 US cutoff. And sometimes we even read the free ones. If you are saying something clever or engaging, or if you catch Mr. Social Media Manager's eye, he'll send it to me and I will read it on air. So those are the rules of the game. Let's get into what we've been up to here at Rebel News. Now, some of you may not know, and I don't know how you couldn't. We have very, very, very recently bought a Billboard truck. And before I move on from this, I want to address a concern that someone had sent an email to Drea this morning. And she said, yeah, you know, this person is making a point. How do we, let's make sure that people know that we now own a Billboard truck, but we didn't in the past own a Billboard truck. So when you saw a video of us out on the street with the Billboard truck, and we said at the end, it costs us money to rent this truck. It costs us money to do the graphic design for the truck. We have to have a driver, fuel in the truck, all those things. So please support us in our efforts. That was true. We did need your help. We were renting a Billboard truck. But now, because we are covering issues where the other side of the debate has a propensity for violence and, you know, shooting up Jewish girls' schools and fighting Jews on the lawn of a synagogue, as is in the case with Toronto's pro-terrorism, pro-Hamas community. When trying to rent the Billboard truck to run our little campaigns with the truck, the people we normally deal with were saying, look, we believe in free speech. We'd love to take your contract. However, we are concerned about vandalism. And so we just can't. And we understand that. These are people who own these trucks are small business owners. So we decided that we will buy a truck. And that is not an inexpensive proposition to buy a digital billboard truck. There are a lot of moving pieces on a billboard truck. And, like I'm familiar with grain trucks. So there's a lot going on. But these billboard trucks have generators inside of them and LED lights and the systems that require maintenance with that. And then we need a driver. And so while we have insulated ourselves from, I don't want to say it's cancel culture, but it's cancel culture by proxy. When you're bullying the truck owners in such a way that they don't want to do business with us, what's the solution? Buy a billboard truck. That is not a cheap thing to do. And then it's not a cheap thing to maintain it, insure it now, that people know it's ours. And so previously we had been asking for help to rent the billboard truck. Now, if you want to go to savethetruck.ca, you can help us keep the truck on the road. Because it is a very contentious thing right now. One of the ways we help make ends meet with the truck is, well, in this instance, we took an outside contract from an advertiser. And this advertiser, if you would be so kind as to bring up the advertiser's name, I think it's in Ezra's video on this. It's in the webpage copy. But either way, we took an outside advertiser because they had experienced some of the same concerns that we did. The ads were created by a group called Canadians Opposed to the Occupation of Our Streets and Campuses. It's a mouthful, but I think you get exactly what their mission is. And so we took their ad. The truck was out on the streets of Toronto a few days ago, and it drew the ire of everybody on the left. And so when I say on the left, I just don't mean the Liberals and the NDP. I mean their undeclared press secretary proxies in the mainstream media. And so they have, and Myron Demkew, the police chief of Toronto, this is it. It says, is this Yemen? Is this Syria? Is this Iraq? And it shows the Muslim call to prayer being done on the streets of Toronto, literally on the street. I don't mean like even in a public park. This was on the street. And let me be the first to tell you, if it were my people, and by my people, I mean Catholics, blocking the road, reading the, like reading the Bible, or let's say something very specifically Catholic. Let's say we were saying the rosary on the streets of Toronto during rush hour. If you wanted to billboard truck us, I would see your point, right? And so that's what happened here. The truck drove around, but what you saw there is not the full snippet of the video that was playing on the truck. That's just the one that everybody wants you to see. It doesn't show the full video of the billboard truck. And so we are now being investigated for a hate crime. Myron Demkew, the police chief of Toronto, said he is doing that. We have been currently denounced by all the right people, including former Premier Kathleen Wynne, several members of parliament, the leader of the third party, Jagmeet Singh, several members of the government, including cabinet ministers. And so we ultimately face, if prosecuted and found guilty for this, Ezra may face up to 2 years in jail. And the reason is we went public and said we own this truck. Why? Because somehow, and I suspect illegally, I think it was CBC, maybe it was the Star, but perhaps they both did at the same time, got access to the truck's registration. And I'm pretty sure that's confidential unless you're a police officer. And so the registration details were somehow leaked and or obtained by the Star and the CBC. and they reached out to us for comment. And so instead of allowing them the scoop we told on ourselves as though there were anything to tell on us about, but we said, yeah, it's our truck, but it's not our ad. And we believe in free speech. And so suck it up and deal with it. And that's what we're dealing with right now. Now, if you want to help support the truck, because as I said, we are going to definitely incur legal fees because we are being investigated for hate speech, even though it's not our ad, we just own the truck. I mean, that's a new one. I think we're just the platform here. It would be like holding Twitter responsible for something that was said on Twitter, which I guess is something the left tries to do all the time, but it doesn't make any sense. But we believe in free speech. And so that's what we're doing. SaveTheTruck.ca, SaveTheTruck.com. If you want to help us offset our legal fees, or even better, you want to hire the truck. That's one way to support the truck, is to hire us and put your message on it. We only ask that you identify your message as belonging to your group, and that's at SaveTheTruck.com. Let's go to some of the funnier things that we're doing with the truck. For example, the left is super mad about the truck. They want the truck investigated, as I said. So what does that mean? You people are getting more truck. So Ezra, not one to be intimidated, not one to be told to shut up, has the truck out on the streets of Toronto today. He went to City Hall. He's getting some honks. He got somebody gave him the finger. But anyways, let's throw to some clips of Ezra. You know, he's so happy when he's irritating left-wing politicians. And when I say left-wing politicians, I also mean Myron Demkiw, the police chief of Toronto, who really wants to be the next Bill Blair, the failed police chief of Toronto, who's now a Trudeau cabinet minister. So Myron Demkiw has his eye on the prize. He knows who he has to please to further his career right up into the Liberal Party and into the cabinet. But let's show some clips of Ezra at his best.
Oh, hi, everybody. Behind me, Toronto City Hall. Not sure if you can see it over there. And over here, well, would you look at that? Our digital billboard truck. I'm looking for Mayor Olivia Chow because she said this truck is a driving hate crime. I have a different opinion. This truck is a political point of view. And the answer to political points of view that you don't like is to debate them, dispute them, counter them, get your own truck, or just ignore them, not to call for the criminal prosecution of your political opponents. If you want to learn more about the battle over this truck and the absurd decision to investigate us for a hate crime, go to the website SaveTheTruck.com. And if you see me on the roads of Toronto, give me a wave or a honk honk, or tell me you disagree. One person today flipped us the bird. And you know what? I'd much rather have that than some thug in City Hall saying, arrest him. I'll see you later. Go to SaveTheTruck.com.
I love that. You know, they want him arrested for a hate crime. They want him to be silent. They want us to be silent. And look, if they want us to be silent, what they mean is they want you to be silent, because we are giving voice to your issues. So what they really mean is they want you to shut up. They want you to be too scared of a hate crimes investigation that you need to shut up. So let's, by the way, let's show this clip of Ezra at Myron Demkiw's office.
Hey, everybody. I'm now inside the police headquarters in Toronto, and I presented myself to the reception desk, and I said I was here to turn myself in or to interview the chief, whichever the chief prefers. So if they want to arrest me or if they want to talk to me, because I'd like to talk to the chief. I think he's panicking right now. He doesn't know what to do. He thought we would just roll over. This wasn't really in the scenarios. They sent a lady officer out to surreptitiously film me on her pink iPhone. And I walked up to her and I said, hey, let's talk. And she sort of ran away bravely. I guess courage runs in the family for the Demkiw Police Department. Look, I just want to find out who the hell died and appointed the chief a censor. And why is he going after billboard trucks instead of this insane crime wave that has washed over Toronto on his watch. Maybe that's why he's doing it, to distract from his utter failure to fight crime in Toronto. Anyhow, if I'm arrested, I probably won't have any more Twitter videos. If I talk to the chief, maybe I'll have one. I'll keep you posted. In the meantime, go to savethetruck.com. It might turn into saveezra.com.
He's at his best, isn't he, when he's doing this kind of stuff? You know, and Ezra makes a great point. Not only is crime rampant in Toronto and the police chief is really failing at his job. I mean, what was his advice when crime is rampant? He sent out one of his officers to say, just put your keys by the front door so that when the home invaders break in, let's presume their benevolence and they just want your car and your TV. They don't want to murder you in your bed and do awful things to your children. That was the top dog advice in Toronto. What a joke. It made us the laughing stock. But simultaneously, as our truck is out on the streets with a message that isn't ours, but, you know, hosted by us, there is another billboard truck out on the streets, and it is a pro-genocide billboard truck. How do I know it's a pro-genocide billboard truck? Because it has a genocidal message on the side, and it is from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. What river? The Jordan. What sea? The Mediterranean. What's in the middle? All of Israel. What do they mean free of? Free of Jews. That's a call to genocide. They want to push the Jews into the sea. And that's just fine and dandy. It's just cruising around the streets of Toronto. They put even who, like, real easy for the police chief to go and investigate actual hate speech. They put who they are on the side there. Just go find these people. Go do something about this. But no, the one billboard truck that is rented by people who are sick and tired of the police inaction in Toronto, that they embarrass the police, and then so the police go after them. And let's show this clip of Ezra here.
The police chief, Myron Demkew, and I don't know where he is because I brought my billboard truck with me. I wanted to chat with him about it. I hear he doesn't like it, and I thought that he could explain to me how it's the job of the police chief to tell me what I can or can't put on a billboard truck. These are legitimate ads on a matter of public policy. Where does he get off telling citizens what they can or can't say? I'm going to go knock on the door and see if he comes out. I'm guessing he won't. Oh, here's a police car here. Maybe they'll answer me the anonymous and see if they can get some help.
Ezra's obviously having some fun, but it is a dangerous thing that he's doing. They've said they're investigating him for a hate crime. Hate speech is now, you know, could face 2 years in jail. And we are not going to give the names of the people who rented the truck from us so that they can be prosecuted, bullied, and attacked by Hamas hate mobs and the establishment class in this country. And let's not forget, this is the police department that brought coffee to pro-terrorism blockaders of a Jewish neighborhood. They were on the overpass blocking a Jewish neighborhood so that the Jews to go to their own homes had to drive past these people calling for the genocide of Jews. And here comes the coffee delivery. Uber Eats, Myron Demkew's Uber Eats officers. Look at this. From the river to the sea. Tim Hortons for you and me. And yet they find the will to investigate the one act of opposition to all of this madness. And I think it's because it embarrassed the police. It's embarrassing the liberals. It's embarrassing the municipal politicians. So what do? Lash out. They lash out because what's the option? Self-reflection and actually doing something tangible to stop the Hitler Youth 2.0 running amok on the streets of Toronto? No. So naturally, they're going to lash out because this is what liberals always do. It's accuse somebody else of the thing that you are actually doing. Like Justin Trudeau accuses you of being racist. He's done blackface so many times he can't recall. Accuse you of being sexist, and he's groping up journalists in BC, firing women who speak truth to power within his own caucus. What a joke these people are. Let's, if we have it, the audio of More in the Morning, for those of you who don't know, and I wouldn't blame you if you didn't, because I don't think you are ample consumers of the mainstream media, but that's a radio show in Toronto. And it was actually being hosted this morning by John Tory, the former mayor of Toronto, who broke his own pandemic lockdown restrictions to engage in a little bit of frisky business with a staffer of his. Anyway, instead of going away in shame, these people have no shame. And he's front and center, I guess, guest hosting for John Moore. Maybe they're going to give him his job back. I don't know. But they had an hour-long conversation about the truck. And it was basically a hen party of these emasculated metrosexual men. There's a word I haven't used in a long time. Talking about how mean it is that Ezra Levant allowed somebody to put this messaging on our billboard truck. But you know what they didn't do? What journalists are supposed to do, by the way. It's one of the key defenses to defamation, and that's reach out to the other side and allow them to have their say. Now, as is the case with almost every time I reach out to the other side here at Rebel News, they ignore me. But that's fine, because I can say, if they ever try to sue me, I reached out to the other side and they didn't get back to me. Here's the paper trail. But they had this hour-long discussion. But I was going to use a phrase I probably shouldn't. A circle party of just these emasculated dudes and their enablers standing around in a circle saying, yes, Ezra Levant is bad for this. And so Ezra called in, much to their surprise. And John Tory took his call, and then Ezra let him have it. And then News 1010 published a very abbreviated clip of the conversation, but we have the full conversation. You can find it on our social medias, so you can listen to it in full instead of just the clip that News 1010 put up, which still makes John Tory look bad, but they tried to end it on a high note. You can get the full context, and it makes him look even worse. So let's play just the short interaction that 1010 posted.
What you've just been talking about is criminalizing people with different opinions. That billboard truck and the ad that's been running on it is a different opinion. You might even think it's a rude opinion. You definitely think it's a wrong opinion. Got it. And you know what? You could actually be right. But what you've then done is said that should be prosecuted as a crime instead of debated. And so that's why I'm surprised that you are having me on, because who knows? Maybe you think disagreeing with you is a hate crime.
No,
too.
it's not. Look, it's not about me.
You gotta be for free speech.
Let me have a chance here, Ezra.
You've had an hour to defame. You didn't even invite me on the show, John.
Well, because
that shows your ideas are brittle. That's why you want to censor anyone who contradicts.
I don't want to censor anybody, except when it
you want me
prosecuted. Ezra,
you want me prosecuted.
Okay, why don't you finish and then I'll have a word. Okay.
I know. You know why you want me prosecuted, John. You know what? I think you're being very dramatic the last hour, and I think I know why. And I'd love your answer to this.
That me and the 10 people I've had on roundtables this morning who agree with me, by the way, all of them to a person.
Well, gee, it's almost like you've invited your own echo chamber in. But John, here's my question to you. For 8 months now, Toronto has had a crime wave of anti-Semitic violence, including a girls' school that was shot up by masked men, people, masked Hamas supporters going through Jewish neighborhoods, shrieking anti-Semitism, roads into residential
and I've talked about it here 100 times, Ezra. I've talked about all those examples and how unacceptable that is.
Prosecution of hate crimes against them.
Oh, absolutely, we've talked about it, and the police have been investigating all of those things, Ezra, and you know that.
No, the police have turned a blind eye to them.
That's rubbish.
Do you see where they cut him off? But John Tory chose his words carefully. He said, when Ezra said, and you've never called for hate crimes investigations into that. And John Tory goes, yes, we've talked about that. Talked about the crimes, but never talked about what they really are, and that is hate crimes against the Jewish community. And then it cuts off with him saying, that's rubbish. But as you know, Ezra Levant is a skilled debater, and the exchange goes on. But isn't it funny how John Tory's like, yeah, me and everybody on the round table agreed with me saying that you should be prosecuted for hate crimes. You mean everybody that your producers hand selected for the show based on what you know they will say about this issue? What a great selection. What a diverse cross-section of Toronto, which is the most diverse city in all of Canada, that you hand selected a panel to say that they agree with you explicitly. Good job, News 1010. Good job. That's why Chorus continues to have layoffs. And we're hiring. By the way, we are hiring. If you want to be a weekend video producer for us, we've got an ad. Go to careers@rebelnews.com and apply. We are hiring. Chorus is laying off people all the time. Why? Because of that performance right there. One more thing before we move on. Let's go to Mohammed Faqih. Faqih, I'm not even sure if I'm saying his name properly, and I'm not sure that I care all that much. But Mohammed Faqih is the owner of Paramount Fine Foods. It's not a thing out here in Western Canada, but I travel enough to the other parts of this country that I am familiar with it. And what I know about Mohammed Faqih is that he doesn't like Jews shopping in his grocery stores, or they're not even grocery stores, they're like delis. And he is one of the biggest supporters of the Liberal Party of Canada, a fundraiser, donor. And anyways, he said that he doesn't want Zionists shopping in his stores. Okay, no problem. No problem, buddy. I love when the boycott points itself out to me. But he put, maybe we can dig this tweet up. He put a bounty on us. He said it's up to $25,000 reward. Okay, so that could mean anywhere between 1 cent and $25,000. So don't think of this guy as a man who puts his money where his mouth is, except insofar as he does when it comes to supporting all causes progressive and liberal. But he says, it has been 2 days since this clear incitement of hate occurred on Toronto streets. Today, I'm offering a reward of up to $25,000 for information that leads to the arrest of the individuals who paid for, designed, or in any way facilitated this hateful campaign. I guess that's us. We facilitated it. Call Toronto police as soon as you can today. Our politicians and police leaders have demonstrated a complete disregard for the incitement of hate towards our community. They're fighting the Jews on the lawns of the synagogues, but okay. Our community is already dealing with Netanyahu and the IDF's murders in Palestine, both Gaza and the West Bank. Okay. You know what? You just had to give the hostages back and not attack anybody on October 7th. So don't start none, there won't be none, as they say out on the prairie. We won't stand for this nonsense here in Toronto. Actually, that's exactly what the Billboard message is, right? We don't want this in Toronto. So anyway, I was seriously considering turning in the boss for $25,000 worth of burnt coffee and soggy Pearson Airport sandwiches, because that is my real and only experience with Paramount Fine Foods. But Ezra turned himself in to Mohammed Faqih. So where is our up to $25,000, Mr. Faqih? Or what? And I should point out that I think everybody involved in this didn't think, maybe they did think it was us, I'm not sure. But now that it is us, did you think you were going to get this rumble? Like, I think they thought, especially Myron Demke, but maybe even Mohammed Faqih, they thought, oh, this is just a little Jewish organization, and we're going to bully them into silence and never doing this again, right? Like, this is just an act from, a few people in the Jewish community who are trying to spread the other side of the message here. And so we will threaten them with hate crimes, and we will put a bounty out on them, and they'll be so scared they never do this again. Well, when the veil slipped, or rather when we pulled it off, when we're like, ta-da, it's us, at least owning the Billboard truck, they were all like, oh, dang. Oops, we're not going to bully these people into shutting up. This is going to backfire spectacularly in our faces. And they're going to give us more of this. And that's exactly what they're getting. And I couldn't be happier to see it. They thought that they were going to tell the Jews to shut up. And instead, they got Rebel News. Da, 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 da. And we're here to make sure that you see this message now more than ever, because you're not bullying anybody into silence, you absolute authoritarian maniacs. This is what Ezra tweeted back to Mohammed Faqih. Hey, Jew hunter, with your $25,000 Jew hunting bounty. It was me, my truck. Now hand over the $25,000. I'll take payment in falafel and shawarma. SaveTheTruck.com. Yeah. You know what? Give us a donation to keep the truck on the road. You know, maybe you don't want to give it to us directly. You know, maybe you don't want to be like, here, Ezra Levant, here's $25,000, but we'll take it to keep the truck on the road. Mr. Faqih, or however you say your name. Not that I care. Let's go to an ad break, and then we'll get into liberal scandals, which seems to be a good chunk of the show today.
Folks, it's undeniable that our rights and freedoms are under attack. The Freedom Passport is an easy-to-read, pocket-sized booklet containing the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. There's an app, too. Easily access the Freedom Passport on your phone and compare rights and freedoms from around the world for only $3.99. Visit freedompassport.ca and get your Freedom Passport today.
Okay, we're back from that ad break a little bit early. I thought maybe we would show Adam's sweet store ad if we got a chance. We filmed a really great store ad for our Canada Day line of merchandise. So if we can dig that up, I'd love to show that later at some point. But I should tell you that if you are at rebelnewsstore.com, we're running out of time for Canada Day / Dominion Day. You're welcome, David Menzies merchandise. We've got a line of Canada Day stuff there. However, it's not like, yay, Canada Day. Well, there is some of that, but it is just general patriotic stuff. So I don't know about you, but I hate buying things that I can only wear like 2 days of the year, unless it's a really fun Christmas sweater. But I will wear it all of Advent if that's the case. But our Canada Day stuff is just generally patriotic, most of it anyway. And so it's not just something that you can wear like Canada Day and when you sober up the day after. So it's for all year round. If you are a proud patriot of the greatest country on the face of the earth, then there's something there for you. And it's rebelnewsstore.com. Use 10%, my 10% off code. It's Sheila10. All right. But order soon because we're running out of time. It's already June 21st. And I think we finally have our first nice-ish day of the year out here in Alberta, or at least northern Alberta where I am. But if you watch the Weather Network, it's always like, oh, it's red and orange and scary. And I'm like, it's like 19 outside. what are you talking about? But that's the fear mongering. They must be getting a grant from the federal government to scare us. Okay, let's go into liberal scandals. So let's go. Well, first, we'll show the clip of Melanie Joly. She's our Minister of Foreign Affairs. No grasp of foreign issues whatsoever. How is it that she's worse at this job than Chrystia Freeland when she did it? But here we are, reaching new lows. She had no idea about Russian warships and a Canadian warship that was also in the same locale, Havana, Cuba, at the exact same time. So let's show this clip. She's our Minister of Foreign Affairs. Just so this is like her portfolio. This is the thing she's supposed to know. But if you ask her, she probably knows more about what we did to combat the patriarchy in some place on the African continent. She will know that we gave $6 million to the feminist basket weavers there, but she doesn't know this, what could be perceived to be, if the facts were, as she alleged, a provocative thing with the Russian military. We'll get to reasons why it was not provocative and just absolutely a joke. I think probably a bit of a vacation for everybody involved, but let's roll this clip.
Yeah. There is this strange thing happening in Cuba, Minister, that I'm wondering if you can help me understand. The HMCS Margaret Brooke, which is a patrol vessel from Canada, gone to Havana for 3 days starting tomorrow to celebrate Canada-Cuba bilateral relations. And there's some eyebrows being raised because it's in port at the same time that Russian military vessels, including nuclear-powered submarines, are there. Why would Canada have a Canadian ship in a Cuban port at the same time as Russian military vessels are there?
Listen, this is something that I have to look much more closer to. This is an information that is news to me because the Minister of Defense also works with CAF and DND on this very issue. But of course, we'll look into this and get back.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
There is this.
She's going to look into it and get back to you. Okay. Okay, thanks. And by the way, what's the best response she had there? Well, the Minister of Defense also works with the Canadian Armed Forces. She used the acronym CAF, C-A-F there. Yeah, no shoot, Sherlock. The Minister of Defense is in charge of the military, but shouldn't you know if they're doing something provocative with the Russian military when everybody's in Cuba? By the way, why are we even celebrating Canada-Cuba relations? We should be embargoing the daylights out of them still if it weren't for Justin Trudeau's father breaking ranks with the Americans and embargoing them. But the good news is that we weren't provocative with the Russians while we were there. We led a conga line. Yes, we did. The Royal Canadian Navy led conga lines in Havana as part of their so-called deterrent visit to Cuba. Photos show. Let's throw this up. Look at that. Those old junkers, which are not junkers, they're properly maintained vehicles because of the embargo. And let's scroll down. Do we have photos? There are photos out there of the conga line. This is how they were there to deter the Russian military in case the Russian military got frisky. 5 ships to R1. R1 likely decrepit, if I know anything about the Canadian Navy. And they were leading conga lines. Look at this. Good grief. June 17th. This is the Embassy of Canada to Cuba. Our national shame continues. I can't. I just can't. So, oh God. Just, as Marco Navarogini says, that's one heck of a way to intimidate Russian soldiers. Can we go back to that previous photo? I just want to point out something maybe about the people in uniform there. What are they feeding these guys on the warships? No, one more back. It's a lot of white fabric under strain there. You know what I mean? Remember when we used to have fitness standards in the military? And I know some people in the military, yes, they maintain their personal fitness, and I'm glad they do, but good grief. Goodness me. They're making a lot of husky fit uniforms in the Canadian military, I think, these days. Yucky. Okay, let's go to one thing that is happening right now in Canada. The committees are wrapped up in the House of Commons, but because I have a very busy job and then I can't always watch the committees, I'm going back and watching them, and I will be cutting clips going forward for the next little bit. But the House has risen, as they say, for the summer. No more committees, no more House of Commons. Everybody is on the summer barbecue circuit. So you won't get a lot of news about the scandals in the government going forward. The Canadian summertime is sort of the dead time for political scandal news, unless, Justin Trudeau leaves the cottage and does something stupid. But right now, we are still reeling with what should be something that takes down the government, ArriveCAN. So it's the flawed surveillance app that returning travelers to Canada had to input their information in, and it didn't work. And it was $60 million. It was basically replicated over a weekend for a few 100,000. I think it was tens of thousands, actually. And that version actually worked. It was replicated in the private sector. There are procurement contracts that showed that there was like no proof of work, no work done. They didn't care. They were tailoring the contract so that they were saying it's not a sole source contract. They were opening the bids up for tender, but narrowing the requirements for the bid so tightly that it was obviously given to the Liberals' favored contractor. So there's a lot of that going on. Oh, it's open source tender, but only one person could have ever qualified for it. GC Strategies in the case. GC Strategies, their higher ups. By the way, they're not even trying to hide this. GC, guess what that stands for? Government of Canada. So, I mean, like, come on. It's right in our faces. They were going for dinner with CBSA officials, and this app, I want to reiterate, didn't work. It sent 10,000 people to quarantine who didn't need to be there, and some of those people were fined $5,000, $5,500 for not quarantining, and they didn't need to. Some of them paid those fines because what do you do when the government fines you like that? Anyway, a lot of people got rich. One wonders what the kickbacks are. And Justin Trudeau knew about the problems with the ArriveCAN procurement and the way the contracts were being awarded much sooner than the government is letting on. The government has said, oh, we had no idea about any of this. Well, that's weird because Justin Trudeau wanted a briefing on ArriveCAN with the clerk of the Privy Council, which is his chief bureaucrat, in January of 2023. So like a year and a half ago now, Trudeau knew what was going on with ArriveCAN. Let's show this.
Possession of an access to information document. It's A2023-00306. It's a memorandum for the clerk of the Privy Council from that department, from the PCO for the Prime Minister. The documents state that in January of 2023, the Prime Minister requested briefs related to ArriveCAN. Is the RCMP aware of those briefs?
No, Mr. Chair, I'm not aware of any briefs.
So the document, Commissioner, goes on to say that the Prime Minister raised the issue of ArriveCAN with the clerk of the Privy Council. Is the RCMP aware of those conversations and their contents?
No, Mr. Chair, I'm not aware of any conversations with the Prime Minister at PCO as well as the contents.
So if it's helpful to the RCMP, I'd be happy to furnish you with this ATIP. Would you like it?
If again, it doesn't involve us. We want to make sure that any document that's brought into investigation is done properly. So you could keep the ATIP for now, sir.
Okay. Well, I'm sure that those diligent folks from your agency who are behind you there caught that ATIP number when I offered it and can access that file.
That was astounding. So the RCMP does not have, nor have they done, investigations into who knew what when quite yet. Now, maybe it's early in their investigation, but if you can get those documents through access to information, wouldn't you want them? Like, wouldn't you want the document just so that you could go to the access to information people, the information people in the Privy Council and say, see this document that was furnished to us by the Conservative Party of Canada? We want a copy of it. an unaltered copy because maybe they're concerned the Conservatives altered it or whatever. The Conservatives are willing to turn over evidence in an investigation to the RCMP, and the RCMP are like, no, that's fine, thanks, we're good. I hope they do what Michael Barrett just said they're going to do, suggested that they do, and that is go directly to the information officers at the PCO and ask for this document containing this information saying Trudeau knew about the problems with the ArriveCAN procurement scandal a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago. And he kept a lid on it until now. Probably too busy just dealing with the foreign interference stuff. You can't even keep track of these scandals. You really can't. It's crazy. Next one. Larry Brock. Larry Brock, if he is not the next Attorney General, Justice Minister of this country, Solicitor General, I think it's called. If he is not, then what are we doing around here? He is a former Crown prosecutor, and holy moly, does it show if you watch him at committee. And I realize that I'm probably the only person in the country who watches these committee hearings outside of government staffers whose job it is to watch them, and parliamentary staff for the opposition who watch them. But Larry Brock is a former Crown prosecutor, and he brings that skill set to the table when he is examining witnesses at committee. And he confirms with the RCMP that there are not just one or two, many, multiple open investigations into the corrupt awarding of contracts by the government. Let's look at this clip.
Commissioner, you referenced in your opening statement multiple investigations into these matters. Is this in reference to the ArriveCAN issue?
There are multiple, correct, Mr. Chair, there are multiple investigations going on.
How many in total, officer?
I'd have to refer to Mr. Flynn and see if we'd have an exact number, but numerous.
I get an exact number?
So with respect to this type of activity, there's a broad number of investigations specific to ArriveCAN. There is one investigation specific to ArriveCAN.
So one general investigation and offshoots from that investigation?
Not offshoots, but if you look at the ArriveCAN as well as other similar types of situations, there are many is the category I would put in. I won't give us an exact number.
Many. So more than 6?
I'll say yes.
Yes.
So that'll be as precise as I can get.
And is this in reference to contractors and subcontractors, or does it involve federal bureaucrats, and or does it involve government officials?
Specifically, I'm speaking to procurement irregularity investigations.
Okay. Again, the question put to you, is this exclusive to contractors and subcontractors, or does it involve government officials?
It involves the entirety of what needs to be looked at with respect to procurement contracts.
And I take from that the entirety could include contractors, subcontractors, the federal bureaucracy that dealt with those contractors, as well as the deputy ministers overseeing that department, and ultimately the ministers of the Crown who have ultimate responsibility. It's a catchment of individuals that potentially you're going to be looking at. Is that correct, sir?
I will not speak to any information with respect to the targets or subjects of the investigation. I will simply speak to the substance of it to give you as much information as I can today to be helpful.
Thank you, sir.
Did you catch that? So he doesn't want to say they're investigating cabinet ministers, but he doesn't rule out the fact that they're investigating cabinet ministers when he says that he's talking to everybody involved in the procurement process. Well, guess what? That involves the procurement minister, the minister in charge of the CBSA, that's a public safety minister. More than 6 open criminal investigations into just the awarding of contracts in this country. That is a massive scandal. I think that's worse than anything Jean Chrétien did. You know, when we had the sponsorship scandal and the Gomery inquiry after that was all over and done with. The Liberals are not going to call an early election, and here's why. Because if the Conservatives get into power any sooner, that means some people are going to go to jail sooner than they would like. So if you could delay your incarceration a little bit, wouldn't you? I think that's what's happening here. That's why we're not going to see an election before October 2025 and a week later than it should, because these guys need to make sure they get their pensions when they rightfully lose their seats. But I think the Liberals are not going, I mean, no matter what the scandal is, no matter what the crime is, the Liberals are never going to call an early election. And of course, the NDP, because they're idiotic sycophants, are just going to go along with it because it's the closest they're ever going to get to the levers of power. Because I think when all is said and done and the Conservatives get in there and open up the books, holy heck, people are going to jail. Now, I don't know if it's going to be cabinet ministers and the PMO, anybody in the PMO. Those people usually skate on this. Like Jean Chrétien probably should have went to jail, but he didn't. People around him did. So I'm not sure if the right people are going to end up in the right places, but I think people are going to jail. I do. I really do. One of them who I think is probably under serious investigation right now is Min Doan. Now, Min Doan was at the CBSA, and he was the chief IT officer in the entire federal bureaucracy. Okay, just think about that job. The IT bureaucrat. And he had the gall to say at committee, when he's called to committee to testify on the ArriveCAN stuff, he says, oh, I don't have the evidence that you need because, oh, my emails all got deleted. I had to change the battery on my laptop. Oopsie doodle, everything got deleted. And anybody who knows even a passing knowledge of computers is like, that's not how that works at all. All of us have switched laptops and it's like, oh, look, my work emails are all in that one now, because they're not normally stored on your physical laptop, right? Like that's ridiculous. Nobody who works in IT would just have one place where your emails are stored. Like, it's not like, oh, look, my email. I went down to the mailbox and picked up my emails and they're all printed out for me on a notepad. That's not how it works. It's not how any of this works. But Min Doan said that. And so that has put IT at the top of mind for a lot of people. A lot of people are rethinking IT. And that's why I'm happy to read this next ad from our partners at Rumble. And it's about IT. And since IT is a big scandal with the Canadian government and people think we're stupid, that's people are looking for IT solutions. So do you ever feel like your IT bill is a ticking time bomb? I know it's a big expense for a lot of companies, including ours. Hidden charges, out of scope surprises, it's enough to make any business owner lose their mind. We're the managed service provider that says no to billing nightmares, no more unexpected fees, no more gotcha invoices, no more Min Doans saying my emails just went into the ether. Just straightforward flat rate pricing for all the IT support you need. We're talking unlimited help desk support. Min Doan could have used that. 24/7 cybersecurity monitoring. Oh, cybersecurity is another huge issue, by the way. We've got House of Commons staffers, members of parliament, they were all under cyber attack by the Chinese government. And the federal government knew, and they didn't tell them. Well, maybe you need to reconsider your cybersecurity monitoring in this time of, Chinese government tentacles just being allowed into every aspect of Canadian life. They also provide network planning that actually makes sense and expertise that runs deeper than the Mariana Trench when it comes to Microsoft products. They'll keep your systems running smoothly, protect you from those digital bad guys. I just talked about those right now. You'll know exactly what you're paying every single month. No fine print, no nasty surprises. So if you're tired of being nickel and dimed by your IT provider, it's time to switch to the clear, simple choice. RxIT. They're the cure for IT billing and headaches. It's IT peace of mind guaranteed. If you're interested, and I think you should be, call 1-855-402-2300. That's RxIT. They're the cure for IT billing and headaches, and they will address all your cybersecurity needs in a time where it has never been more unsafe to be a business operating on the internet. as we know here at Rebel News. All right, let's go into the last little bit here, and it's the last little bit usually we dedicate to the madness of the culture wars, and it never ends. It never ends. So many of you may recall the case of Jonathan Yaniv. He likes to go by Jessica Simpson these days. I suppose you might confuse him for the singer who has her own struggles, one of which now is sharing the same name with a transgender activist who once tried to force estheticians, many of them who were minority women working out of their home, to wax his very intact at the time male genitalia. I've had the displeasure of reading his leaked medical records online. So what were his intact male genitalia? Not anymore. Just don't read it if you find it out there. Someone sent it to me. Anyway, so rightfully so, in British Columbia, the Human Rights Tribunal ruled in favor of the female estheticians, thanks to the great work of the folks at the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms who represented them. But if you are a salon owner in, let's say, Ontario, you apparently do not have the right to not handle somebody else's genitals if you don't want to. We have this story up this morning. Great work by our journalist, Roberto Wakerell Cruz. $35,000 awarded to transgender woman. He's real hard on the scare quotes there. After Ontario business could not accommodate waxing of male genitals. They have given me, I believe, 30 days to pay, said Carruthers in an interview with Rebel News. So Mad Wax, that's such a fun waxing place name. When Jason Carruthers, the owner of a Windsor, Ontario waxing spa, could not find a way to accommodate a transgender woman's request to have her, male genitals waxed, he had no idea it would cost him tens of thousands of dollars. But after a 6-year-long battle, Carruthers has been ordered to pay a hefty sum to the anonymous claimant, $35,000 plus interest, 30 days to pay. The claimant, identified only as AB, filed the complaint at the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario after she spoke to Carruthers over the phone in 2018. Carruthers explained to AB that the female employee working that day was Muslim and refrains from physical contact with males beyond her family. What a good boss. He's protecting the religious objections of his vulnerable female staff. What a good boss this guy is, and he's paying the price for it. The decision against Carruthers claims that he had misgendered AB. The small business owner told Rebel News that the complainant changed her story by denying that she had ever asked for a Brazilian wax service and instead only wanted a leg waxing. I don't think it would have changed the implications for the Muslim staffer, though, or any woman, or anybody. You shouldn't be forced to put your hands on another person's body if you don't want to. Right? Anything other than that is chattel slavery. Like, you should not be forced to enter into a contract with another person. You just shouldn't. Because then do you truly own your business? Do you truly own your labor? Let's keep going. Carruthers said that his business has always provided leg waxing services to trans clients, but that this was never part of her request. Carruthers told AB that he did not have anyone who could provide, quote, male waxing services, something that Carruthers explained was in reference strictly to biological male genitalia and not in reference to the claimant's gender. Carruthers has gone to the media after AB's human rights complaint. And he says, they're saying that I discriminated against the person, but they're also saying that I reprised when I spoke to media. So those two things are factored into the amount. So AB would claim that the remarks opened up a non-consensual public conversation as to the status of her physical transition, which traumatized her, according to the decision. Okay, hang tight. So they get to drag you before the Human Rights Tribunal, accuse you of being transphobic for sticking up to your vulnerable female staff, sticking up for them, right? And their right to do waxing services to the person whom they choose. This is a very intimate service. And so they get to malign you as something that you're not, call you a bigot, extract several $1,000s out of you, and you don't have a right to tell your side of the story in the public. You have to go through this alone. What a joke. And that factored into the award, the fact that he actually stuck up for himself in the public and didn't just take this line down. What an absolute joke. But it gets better because they're saying the AB, that's the complainant, claimed the remarks, him sticking up for himself, the business owner, opened up a non-consensual public conversation. So it's non-consensual if the complainant is talked about in the public without his explicit permission, his the proper pronoun and not her, the one he would like me to use. What about the woman who has to wax your genitals in a non-consensual, forced way? What about that? He gets to consent to any public conversations about him since when? Right now, everybody is talking about Rebel Media, Rebel News, as is our actual name. That's how I know people don't know anything about us when they call us Rebel Media. But they're all talking about us in the media without ever actually talking to us. And that's fine. That's their right to do it. But this person says that it's a human right not to have somebody talk about you. Excuse me? Since when? And then we can't have non-consensual conversations? What about non-consensual forced fondling of somebody else's genitals? And I know it's not fondling, it's aesthetics work, but you have to touch somebody else's junk to do it. And if you don't want to, you shouldn't have to. So this person is seeking permission, seeking the right to grant permission before somebody else talks about them, but not seeking permission from the estheticians before they touch his biologically male genitals. You know, this is truly clown world. It's clown world. What is this? I just pray for our country. Okay, we are almost done. And I know I'll wrap it up right away. A couple of things. I just want to talk about this one thing and I'll say one line on it. Public servants, they're uneasy because there's a government spy robot that prowls around the federal offices. I don't know why I think this is so funny. Like, why hasn't somebody just smashed this thing with a chair yet? But here's my one line on this. Now government workers know what it feels like to be a convoy supporter with the government spying on you all the time. Let me know when the government robot blocks you from financing to buy a new tractor, because that's what happened to convoy supporters when they applied for credit through Farm Credit Canada, which is the federal lending service for farmers. Let me know when that little robot freezes your bank account, trolls through your social media. Let me know when that happens. Because right now it's just prowling around making sure you guys do your work and it's making you uncomfortable. And I can understand why you would feel that way because so many of you aren't even into office, federal workers. One more thing. Let's file this one under fake, fakety fake. More liberal fakery. Remember when the liberals, oh, there's the robot. They're all scared of this robot. Oh my God, Bruce Roy, president of the government union. They're all scared of that stupid little robot. I love it. I don't know why. I just enjoy that story so much. It's like they're not even in the office. Like most of them haven't returned from remote work post COVID. And now this like little robot's rolling around the office. They're little like be at your desk Roomba. And they're scared. I would, if I were a government worker, I would put like a little Dolly Parton wig on the robot. I would put some fake lashes on the robot. I would at least make it fun if it's going to spy on me, but they're just like, the robot, the robot. Do you know what? Get more of these robots, fire most of the middle managers in the federal bureaucracy. What is that robot doing that a middle manager in the federal bureaucracy couldn't do? Right? Let's save some money. Fire all the middle managers. Just have the little like spy robots running amok in the federal offices. It's perfect. It's great. Let's move ahead to this. Again, fakety fake, 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 fake. Justin Trudeau found another fake thing to promote. The Liberals. Remember when they had that fake person who they featured in their little ad about, I think it was the budget. And it was a Twitter account that didn't exist. I did a couple stories on it because I filed for access to information to see how they chose their stupid little fake person that didn't exist, and people called them out. It was like in their ad, I think it was for the budget, and they showed like a Twitter handle that was like, yeah, go Liberals. In investments, you know how you know something is fake is when they call government piling money onto a garbage fire of government policy an investment. Nobody uses that language. Grants, government subsidies, funding even, but nobody uses the word investments. And so, they were called out. We filed for access to information on that because the governments have to fake support for their bad ideas. And they did it again. They did it again. Now, it has come out to say that it is fake, fake, fakety fake, but I'm calling it fake right now. And I'm going to file for access to information to prove that it's fake because I know it's fake. It's fake, fake, fake. Justin Trudeau sent this tweet the other day. I'll give you a couple of theories about why I believe it's fake. First of all, who names their kid Penny? Nobody does that. But Justin Trudeau says, Penny, couldn't agree more. Food's pretty important to doing your best in school. We're going to make sure kids across the country have meals at school, whether they can bring their own or not, just like your school's program does. Thanks for the letter. Okay. The penmanship here is a little bit, kids. Anyway, this is allegedly a grade 9 high school student. Okay. Hi, Penny. Hi, I'm Penny. I go to Northumberland Regional High School, and my friends go to the free lunch program occasionally, and it really helps them when they need a healthy, delicious, and free meal. I'm in grade 9, and I can really see the positive impact. Kids don't use the word impact. This program has had on my friends and the students here. Okay, kids don't use the phrase positive impact. That is government messaging. This program is extremely important for a variety of reasons. Firstly, it provides easy access to food, something many students need. We need food to learn and get through the day properly as well. Some kids don't have access to healthy foods either. Okay, so the kid is using Oxford commas, but using improper capitalization in some other places. Sure. The kid's using Oxford commas, but doesn't know that the in after I'm shouldn't be capitalized. Sure. Some kids don't have access to healthy foods either, and the program provides that. These are the reasons to invest in this. That's government language. Kids don't use invest. We ask your government to honor its commitment to $200 million per year for 5 years to develop a national school food program. We ask that you start to invest in school food in budget 2024. Sincerely, Penny, grade 9, Northumberland Regional High School, Alma. Okay, so the kid used invest instead of fund. twice. That's government language. The government always says we're investing in, when they mean we're giving them tax money. And a grade 9 student wouldn't use that language. I suspect, and I know other people on the internet are suspecting too, that he might have hired an American public relations firm to do this. Why do I say American? Well, it's the American spelling of the word honor. It's missing you there. Us Canadians love our vowels, especially students who are trying to seem like really smart students to the Prime Minister and using all them Oxford commas. Us Canadians love to use the wrong honor. And so I'm just suspicious. I'm suspicious. I'm going to see what I can find out. We asked your government to honor its commitment. That's American spelling. I don't know. Anybody know anybody under the age of 70 named Penny? By the way, like, and I realize that old people names are coming back in style. There's the Margarets and the Esthers of the world. Yes, I get it. It's cute again. I say, as I have an old lady name also. I think I'm the youngest Sheila I know, but I just don't believe this is real. I just don't. I refuse to. And the reason I don't believe it's real is because the Liberals always fake their support on social media. And people are dumb enough to fall for it because the Liberals are dumb enough to believe it. They know other Liberals are completely unskeptical. But conservatives are skeptical by nature. So I just don't believe this garbage. All right. So I think I got through everything on the list. It is 11 minutes past the top of the hour. I'm sure somebody else needs the studio. And Olivia's help. So I will wrap it up. We've got a couple of Rumble rants to leave. Mojo 007, Mojo 007 gives us $20 and says, yeah, Rebel News. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, Rebel News. Yes, indeed. Thanks very much for that. Every little bit helps to keep the lights on around here, but I hope you're cheering for our continued use of that billboard truck. And we've got one from Cocteau? I don't know, maybe I'm saying that right or wrong, but this is evidence of my previous statements at the top of the show where I say, don't let the $5 US bar for entry, which it isn't, but the cutoff, scare you when you're making a chat, because frequently I read the ones that fall under that. And this one is $1. It says truck. Yeah, Ezra's out there trucking for freedom today. I did have to give him some advice. If he chooses to wear a baseball cap as a farmer, he must be aware that if he is meeting another trucker, he has to do this. Take his hand up like you're driving, steering wheel. See another trucker, you do this. It's not a full hand wave. It's just like a couple of fingers. And you don't smile. You just acknowledge knowingly with your eyes and maybe a nod of the chin. It's one of those. And if he's wearing a hat, you cannot pull it down as you would with a proper wearing of a baseball cap. It rests atop your head. It doesn't go onto your head. I just want Ezra to look and be his best as he becomes a man of the road. I think that's everything. Oh, we've got Fraser McBurney's. Oh, I see it. Sorry, Fraser. I haven't seen you in a while. You and your caps lock. You haven't been back in a while, so I'm glad to see you. Fraser McBurney, $10. Thank you very much. Says, from time to time, I go out on the corner with my signs. The one sign that I get the best beeps is Trudeau must go. Fraser McBurney, for those of you who don't know, long time live stream watcher, a Fight the Fines recidivist from Hamilton, Ontario. Fight the Fines was our program, which we rolled into the Democracy Fund to help people who came afoul of lockdown restrictions. And Fraser was out there protesting the lockdown restrictions, and when you know it, he got fined with a lockdown restriction. And so I'm happy that our friends at the Democracy Fund, which is sort of our sister organization, legal civil liberties charity, was able to help Fraser McBurney at no cost to him. So Fraser was a an avid protester, and I love that he's still out there just spreading the word, the good word of freedom out there. As we go, we've got Olivia, what are you telling me here? Oh, Rumble. Okay. Olivia needs 5 seconds. So, I don't know. Let's kill 5 seconds. Okay. So before I go, and I wish I had done this much sooner, but we've got an ad for the Rumble store. As you know, we are big fans of Rumble, and we're happy to partner with them on some initiatives. They believe in free speech. They don't care what your politics are, and that's what I love about them. I don't need a platform that completely aligns with my worldview. I need a platform that leaves me alone and doesn't take our content and censor it, pull it down, or turn it over to the feds, like I suspect YouTube will do. And so that's why I'm happy to tell you about Rumble's exclusive apparel. I need to get some of this. I have a Rumble water bottle, but I need Rumble apparel because you know what? I got a pair of socks from YouTube once. We had a meeting with one of their people once, and I was like, I got them home and I was like, no, I hate these people. So I need some Rumble apparel. We should be supporting outlets that support your right to speak your mind. And so Rumble has exclusive apparel. They're now offering 20%. That's a great deal. They're offering 20% off on all purchases in the Rumble store with the discount code, write this down, DROP20. If you want to support the brand that is fighting for free speech and fighting for the First Amendment in the United States and your charter right to free expression here in Canada, this is the best way to do it. They have t-shirts, sweaters, hats, and much more. So go to rumble.store and make sure to enter DROP20 as the promo code to get 20% off your entire order. That's awesome. 20%. Excuse me as I write that down, DROP20. Yes, I have the water bottle. I really like it. It's kind of cool, but I'm going to need a hat and possibly a tank top because it's finally nice here in Alberta. Well, everybody, I think that's the show for tonight or today or this afternoon. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks to everybody who engages in the lively chit chat. Just, speak your mind in those chat bubbles before the government says that you can't. Thanks to everybody who pitched in to keep the lights on around here. Good to see you're still out there protesting, Fraser. Happy to partner with our friends at Rumble and RXIT. Thanks, Olivia, for managing the board while I fumbled my way through the last part of the show. Stick around. We've got an ad from Drea. Just to show you some of our sweet new Canada Day merch. I talked about it earlier, but stick around, watch the ad. She's got a coupon code there too. And as always, we'll see you back next week. And as David Menzies says, stay sane.
And just like that, I'm in it to win it. And you can too. Join me by getting your Canada Day merch and beyond at rebelnewsstore.com. And don't miss our special sale that ends on Canada Day. Buy 2 unisex t-shirts and get the 3rd free, all while supporting what I hope is your favorite source of news. That's rebelnewsstore.com, and happy Canada Day.